This day, yes. Are we live?
We're live. I can't see you though.
We're late. Hi. Oh, you don't even see me. Hold on now. Hi.
Hey.
Hi, girl. Hey, I'm so sorry. Please
Oh,
forgive.
no problem. When I saw your itinerary for today, I'm like, oh my goodness, she's super, super busy.
That has been like I think people think I'm just BSing when I say like, y'all don't really understand how packed the days really are on this side of the table. And people were like, you ain't really yeah, I really am doing all that. And then people get upset when I can't accommodate like a podcast and they think that I'm being like stuck up about it. And it's like, no, listen, I love to be interviewed because that's more people that I get my message to. And if I could add more hours or, if I didn't have these kids and this husband, like right now they're right outside cleaning out my car.
Okay.
So I'm so sorry.
No problem.
So we're
Thank
here.
you. Oh my goodness. Rachel, thank you so much for being here today. And for those rare few people who don't know you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Oh, well, I'm sure there's several million people who don't know about me. But my name is Rachel Luna. You can find me over at rachelluna.biz. I'm the best-selling author of the book, Successful People Are Full of Crap, Courage, Resilience, Authenticity, Perseverance, which I wrote several years ago. And a little fun fact is that every time I see people buy that book, I cringe just a little bit because I wrote it 7 years ago. And like, the writer that I was 7 years ago is just like, but then I get equally the same, a message from someone that says, thank you so much. That book really changed my life. And then I just remind myself that, done is better than perfect. And sometimes the thing that you think is like most cringeworthy is the thing that will set someone free. It's the thing that will give someone the breakthrough that they needed to change their situation. And so I like to tell people, go read it at your own risk. I hope you get the blessing. I hope you get the nugget. And if you don't, well, read my next book and hopefully maybe you do. I am a certified professional life and business coach, and I've been doing this for almost a decade now. I've worked with hundreds of clients, hundreds of students over the years. And what I'm really known for is sales confidence and mindset. So helping my clients double, triple, and quadruple their income and, feel really good selling their offer. What I love to do is I love to help people stop charging their worth, because we hear this over and over again, charge your worth, charge your worth, charge your worth. I don't know about you, but I'm priceless. Nobody could afford my worth.
I understand. Yep.
Right? But what I charge for is the value of the transformation that I help my clients achieve. And if we actually started charging for the value of the transformation rather than our worth, when we have these sales conversations, when it comes to selling, we wouldn't worry about, I have to add more value. Is it good enough? I need more certifications. I need another title. I need another degree. I need because I'm inadequate. And it's like, no, this course is great. And it's going to get better the more people that go through it and the more people that give me feedback on where they didn't get something. So a lot of time people come to me and they feel like, I just want it to be perfect. And I say like, well, if you just want it to be perfect, you might as well just hang it up right now, hang up the gloves, because your desire to create perfections means that there's no room for growth. And so the people that you are serving will never be able to measure up. And so they will never get a breakthrough because as they're going through the program, there will be that disconnect there. But when you show people imperfection, it gives them permission to also be imperfect and take imperfect action and really have a human experience and be their totally, fully self-expressed self, which is another passion of mine. I'm multi-passionate. There's so many things I just love to do. And there are so many things that I'm known for. I have a journaling program called the Faith Activated Journaling Experience, where I teach you how to journal to manifest more of your desires in 5 minutes or less a day. And we have had hundreds go through that year-long experience, just come out with massive wins, and they're winning on a consistent basis. Now, I believe that they're winning on a consistent basis because I am showing them how to show up as themselves. Mm-hmm. And the thing that's closest to my heart is I really want every person to be able to show up fully self-expressed and being okay with offending people. So I talk a lot about permission to offend. I also have a podcast called Real Talk with Rachel Luna. Here comes my 8-year-old. Is somebody dying?
No.
Okay. But
where do you want me to put this?
Yeah, so you're going to rinse it in the sink and then put it in the trash. But that is a question that Daddy could answer for you. So anything that is non-critical.
What does critical mean?
Critical means like somebody's going to die. That should be directed to Daddy.
Oh,
okay?
Sorry.
That's okay. No problem. Thank you. So this is the story of my life.
I like it because the name of your podcast is Real Talk, and what happened was very, very real.
It always seems to catch me like that. And so I have this podcast, and I'm really super committed to helping people show up in their truth. And I'm also committed to helping people feel okay with the fact that your truth is going to piss some people off. Oh, well.
Very true.
So
now,
that's like the cliff notes.
Cliff notes. When I was doing some research on you, I learned about how your parents, both your parents died.
Mm-hmm.
You had some eating disorders, and
yes.
you battle with depression. Now, can you expand a little bit about how you were determined not to become another statistic?
Oh, okay. So that's interesting because I don't think there was ever a moment where I said, I'm determined not to be a statistic. Like that thought never entered my mind. Retrospectively, looking back, I thought, wow, I really should have been a statistic. Mm-hmm. And so for our friends that are watching or listening, just to give you a quick background, when I was 3.5 years old, my biological mother died of AIDS, and my father also had HIV at the time, and then he developed full-blown AIDS and he died as well. And so I was sent to live with my godmother, who I call my mom. And for those of you that join us at Confidence Activated, which is my live event that I'm hosting in Atlanta, June 1st and 2nd, you'll get to see my mom, and I will punch you right in the face if you call her anything other than my mom. People have tried to do that, like, oh, your godmother? Like they try to, oh, your godmother, oh, the one that raised you. And it's like, no, that's my mom.
Right.
I'm Puerto Rican and I'll stab you real fast. Anyway. So I was raised by my mom, my godmother. And I had a lot of opportunity that my other siblings didn't have. And at the same time, I was not immune to challenges and setbacks. So privilege does not exclude you from challenge and trial and tribulation, because I was sent to live to a more privileged environment, whereas I was born in Manhattan. My dad lived in the Bronx, in a bad part of the Bronx. He was on welfare. And so I had this this duplicity in my life. I would visit my father and be subjected to like extreme poverty. And then I would go back home to my mom, where I had dance classes and private school and education and opportunity. And I have a half sister from my dad's side who also lived a lower class life. Mm-hmm. And she lived in Brooklyn. And I remember her saying to me, it's not fair, you have everything. Mm-hmm. And, I'm emotional about that, Miko, because right now, another one of my siblings is incarcerated right now. Mm-hmm. And potentially facing the death penalty. And I actually haven't spoken much about, I think this is like the second time that I've mentioned this publicly, but I'm sharing that because I'm today in particular really feeling the weight of that, the weight of privilege, mm-hmm. because I could see the duplicity of this is where I came from and this is where I'm getting to live, and I have choices that I get to make. Because I remember one time being envious of my sister who lived in poverty because her life seemed simpler. Mm-hmm. Her life seemed simpler than mine, whereas there was so much expectation. There was so much like, you have to go to college, you have to get good grades, and I had dyslexia. Mm-hmm. And because I had dyslexia, and you may even hear it sometimes when I speak, the words will come out in the wrong order. But I think that I'm such a gifted speaker, and that's not to brag. Mm-hmm. That is because I've worked on it, right? And then also because God has just blessed me. But I think that I'm such a gifted speaker that the quality of the message surpasses the quality of the delivery at times. And so people they don't even catch it. But if you listen back, you'll hear I make a lot of mistakes in my speech because of the way that my brain is operating. I also have ADD. I don't have ADHD, so I don't have hyperactivity at all. Like I'm super chill. I'm actually pretty lazy, but I have ADD. And so at any given moment, there's a lot of chatter. And so I'm working constantly to stay focused on the present moment and to silence the voices. And I'm also working very diligently to make sure that the words that are coming out of my mouth are coming out in the right order and in the right sequence. Mm-hmm. All my other siblings are naturally gifted with intelligence. So there was something else. It's like they were smarter, they got better grades, but they were living in these really troubling circumstances. So they were rejecting their opportunities. Mm-hmm. And so the long story short of that is I remember I always had to make a choice because I knew that if I didn't study, I knew what was waiting for me. I knew what I was bred from. I was bred in poverty. I was bred in depression. I was bred in alcoholism and promiscuity, and anger and frustration. So even with all that, I still screwed it up really pretty royally because I had 2 eating disorders, not 1, but 2. And then I became an alcoholic myself. When my dad passed away, I just went into the spiral downhill and I became an alcoholic myself. And I remember there was this one pivotal moment. And I wish that I could say that that was the one moment that turned everything in my life around. No, that was just the one moment that helped me change the way approach my sobriety. And I had blacked out and I woke up in college in a pool of my own vomit. And I literally with my hands was scooping up the vomit and throwing it into the toilet bowl. And I remember I remember clear as day, like it was, I'm sorry, this is so vile, but like I remember like the texture of it. And I just heard this voice that said like, I did not create you to be this. You were meant to do more. You are bigger than this. And that there was always this little voice. Every time I would sabotage, because I was the queen of sabotage, I was given opportunity, and I would screw it up. Because there was a part of me that was like, but you don't belong here. You came from this. You should be screwed up. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is that people always looked at me with pity. Oh, your mom died of AIDS. Oh, your dad died. Oh, you poor thing. And so anytime I advanced, it was like, wow, this is what they would say. You've overcome so much despite everything you've been through. As if that was the reason, not just because I was good enough on my own, but because I had something to prove, which I didn't. Mm-hmm. I feel like I'm going so far with this story and I apologize. I'd like to give some more tips. I really want to serve you guys. I feel like my story is not serving in the moment, but maybe it is because maybe there's someone who has come from this challenging background or who has not had a challenging background and who feels like, but I don't have any struggle. And I just want to remind you that success is automatically in your DNA. Like God has given us so many gifts and God has called us to have an abundant and prosperous life. And the struggle is optional. The struggle is sold separately and we don't need to buy into it. right? So I was constantly trying not to buy into the story that people were telling me of, well, you came from this, look at all that you've overcome. And I didn't want to be that. I didn't want to be known as this. I just wanted to be. So I don't know where that was. It was just that I kept hearing this voice saying, you are meant to do bigger and better things. You were meant for more than this. I created you to do something big, and this ain't it. And screwing around with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, that ain't it. And there was this voice that said, are you going to be your parents? Or are you going to be the dream that they had for you?
Wow.
And I also remember feeling that pressure and like, I don't want to be any of that. I just want to be me. And me has to be good enough, but me did not always feel good enough, to be honest with you. Me didn't always feel good enough. I had to develop into the level of confidence that I have today.
Now, you said that wasn't the turning point. So what was the turning point in your life?
Every day is a turning point. And I wish that people understood that. I think that we often are waiting for this big, like, burning bush moment, or this is one of my prayers used to be, God, please wrap instructions for me around a brick and throw that brick through the window so that I could just open, because then I'll know it's you. And it just doesn't work that way. So there were several moments, some were bigger than others, but every day I wake up and I have this sense of awareness of like, I get to choose today. I get to choose my husband all over again. I get to choose my children all over again. I get to choose myself all over again. I get to choose the message that I want to spread. And guess what? Even though I'm known for confidence, if I wake up tomorrow and I want to talk about Jesus, that's going to be the message I'm going to lead with tomorrow, because I get to choose every day. I get to have a fresh start at any moment that we choose. We can have a new moment. But some more critical moments, I think more pivotal moments, would be in 2006 when I found out that my on-again, off-again boyfriend was happily married. So if you want to talk about like your whole world coming to an end, I was just like, wait, what? Oh, the weight of that pain was enormous. Mm-hmm. And then around the same time, I felt like a catastrophic series of events. Because around that time, I was in the United States Marine Corps on active duty, and I was stationed in Germany. And my commanding officer said to me, I would give you a better rating if you lost 10 pounds because you look better in uniform. Despite the fact that I was within my height and weight standards, but he didn't like the way I looked. Mm. And that was a recurring story for me in the Marine Corps, because when I joined the Marine Corps, I was considered overweight, and they spray painted my uniform, the workout uniform, with 2 stripes. Anybody that was overweight got these 2 stripes painted across the front of their chest, and everybody knew you were fat and you needed to be worked out more, and you needed to be watched what you were eating in the chow hall. And so these experiences were just constantly reaffirming this limiting belief that I had, that I just wasn't good enough the way that I was. Mm-hmm. So that was a moment. I hired a life coach. Mm-hmm. and she helped me, and I was in debt over $40,000. And in 18 months, I was completely out of debt, had enough money to buy a car in cash, like a new car from the dealership, drive it off. No one ever drove this car but me, in cash. Had met and married my husband. We'll be celebrating our 10-year anniversary in May. We had our first daughter. I mean, those quantum leaps, those big shifts, they can happen like that if you're willing to go through the suck of it, if you're willing to go through the growth pain. Because while I was working with that coach, it was uncomfortable. She was challenging me to do things that made me cry on a regular basis. But again, the struggle is optional. And I wanted to be in that struggle. I wanted to make it painful, because at that time in my life, I believed that the only way that I could claim victory was to prove to people that I had overcome some big hurdle. Now, of course, I know, like, no, listen, I can have a victory tomorrow and it could just come nice and easy, because that's what I desire it to be.
Very true. Now, why do you love to help people get clear, get confident, and take consistent action on their dreams?
Oh, because I just know the pain that they're in not living in their dreams. I just know, I deeply understand that pain that they feel, that lump that they get in their throat, the tightness in their chest where it feels like they can't breathe, the knots in their stomach when they're sitting at their day job and the boss comes and says something and they just feel like they're losing their soul in their job. I remember that feeling. I worked at Toyota Motor Sales and I was good at my job and I was on track for all these promotions. And I just felt like my soul was dying. And I remember calling my mom and I said, Mommy, I really want to quit. And she said, don't you dare. You have a job, you have benefits, you have a retirement. What are you going to do? And I said, I want to be an actress and I want to entertain. This was before the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. And I want to be an actress and I want to be an entertainer and I want to make people happy. And I want to do something that matters. Mm. And I just feel like working in this office looking at spreadsheets about how many cars we sold doesn't matter. I feel like I'm supposed to do something where after people experience me, they feel better. I didn't know then that I had the gift of healing. Mm-hmm. And so, but I just had this innate desire to heal. And so healing comes in many different forms, right? Laughter is medicine. And so that creates healing, prayer, laying of the hands, words of encouragement can be healing. I'm a Christian, so words of deliverance can be healing, right? Where you can cast out the spirits that are tormenting you. And so I didn't understand then, but I always knew that I was really supposed to help people feel better. And I know that people feel better when they're in action. You just feel better.
You do. I have to wholeheartedly agree. Now, you said that you hired a life coach. Mm-hmm. Why should other people hire coaches in their life?
Oh my God, it is so necessary. I'm gonna grab my Diva light so we can get a little more light. But come with me, friends. Okay. As we talk about why should people hire coaches? I think that everybody needs a coach at some point in their life. And I deeply believe that if you are calling yourself a coach, you better good and well have a coach that you reach out to at least once a year, because you need to understand the struggle. You need to have the mindset shifts. You need to have someone feeding you the way that you're feeding others, right? Like your cup needs to be filled. And when you are coaching, when you're providing any kind of service, really, I think, when you're providing any kind of service, what ends up happening is you are not allowing other people to pour into you. What a coach can do is and there's a difference. Let's just talk about the distinction between a coach and a consultant. So a coach is here to ask you powerful questions so that you get a breakthrough, so that you come up with the answer yourself, because your subconscious mind, the ego, loves to have the answers. The ego loves to be right. So that's why you'll often encounter people, and I don't know if you've ever experienced this, where people say, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And then you tell them what to do and they don't do it the way you told them to do it, right? Right. They don't. They'll say, oh, I did everything you told me to. And I'll say, well, show me how you did it. And then I start to look, I said, but I didn't tell you to do it that way. I told you to do this way. Yeah, but it just kind of felt, well, that's the problem. You trusted your feelings, and feelings can be deceptive. So I hear a lot of people talk about just follow your heart, whatever feels good. And the reality is that not everything that feels good is good for you, right? I could tell you right now, crystal meth, I'm sure feels good, because I take Adderall, and Adderall is a derivative, like there's a methamphetamine. And so there's a derivative of crystal meth in there. And I'll tell you right now, I feel good when I take my Adderall. I feel very good, but I need it. And I know that if someone out there who does not need Adderall starts taking it, they're going to feel good for a little bit of time. And then they're going to really start to see how hard it is on the body. and how if you don't need it, it can really have some pretty damning psychotic effects on you. Not everything that feels good is good. So, but going back to the original question so a coach should ask you powerful questions so that you can come up with the answer, so that your subconscious mind gets on board with it, so that you can take better, more consistent action. A consultant tells you what to do.
Thank you for the distinction. Very nice.
So yeah, so we all need coaching.
We all need coaching. So why do you think there are so many people that lack confidence?
Well, we've all created stories. And at some point, usually happens earlier on in our childhood, but it can even be as late as the early teens. But some incident occurs. Sometimes it's highly traumatic, like when my mom died and my dad gave me to my godmother. That was a really traumatic moment for me. And in that moment, I created the story that everyone I love leaves me, and that I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable because they left me. And so really what it comes down to is I'm not good enough. But then I remember having a client who was so silly once we worked through it. But for her, it was a real thing. She had, and by the way, all of us on some very, very deep subconscious level feel that we're not good enough. And we're always trying to be good enough. So that's where perfectionism comes in. That's where the desire to fight, like, I'm not lazy, because if I were lazy, I wouldn't be good enough. So I have to anti-be this thing, or I'm going to really be this thing. So it will show up in many different ways. And I've said that before. And in my upcoming book, Girl Confident, I talk about that. And I had some beta readers, and I had one reader tell me, I don't believe I'm not good enough. I am good enough. And da 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 da. And she really wanted to fight me and challenge me. And I said, okay, well, then you can be writing your story. Because if you were wrong, then you wouldn't be good enough, right? We always want to be right in our story. So we have these moments. And so for one of my clients, her first memory of feeling insecure and not good enough was when there was a birthday cake, and her mom sliced 2 slices of cake, one for her and one for her brother. And her brother got a bigger slice. Now, I don't know about you, but have you ever tried to cut cake and get them slices equal? They're never perfectly equal unless you have that little thingy.
So true.
But she made it mean that her brother was better. And so her entire life, she was trying to measure up to be better or as good as her brother. And so just that one little underlying story. And because these traumas usually occur early in life, or in a seemingly insignificant moment, we're blind to it. And so we just don't understand why we're scared. We don't understand where it's coming from, but it's just like, I'm just scared. I don't know what it is. I want to do this thing. I want to take action. I don't know. And so they'll constantly answer me with, I don't know. But what I have discovered is that I don't know is not an answer. It is a filler statement. And it's what we say when we haven't either A, taken the time to really think about the answer, or B, when we're afraid to admit the answer even to ourselves. So a wonderful question to ask yourself when I don't know comes up is, well, what if I did know? Then what would my answer be? What if I did know? Because then you have to search for the answer. Then the ego is like, I want to answer this one. What if I didn't know? I should know, right?
Very true. Yeah, very, very true. Now, what can people expect from your upcoming Confidence Activated event in Atlanta on June 1st?
Oh my gosh. I really believe that it will be the greatest breakthrough and transformation that you have experienced to date. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be the greatest thing that you'll ever have in your entire life, because who knows what I'll put out in another year. I'm just kidding. No, but that would be like super egotistical. And I really try not to lead with ego, but what I can promise is that to date, it will be the biggest breakthrough and transformation you've ever experienced if you're willing to go there to receive that. if you make that commitment to get it. And so what we're going to do on day 1 is deep internal mindset work, shifting, uncovering beliefs that you don't know that you have, and shifting and moving through them. And then I'm going to teach you my 5-step process. I call it my 5 cues for confident action. There's a 5-step process that once you learn it, you will work through those 5 steps for the rest of your life. And you will be able to understand why you are in arrested development in any area of your life. And now, here's the thing. If you want to move from that stuck state,
Mm-hmm.
and you work through the 5 steps, you'll be able to move. If you don't want to move, you will be able to work through the steps and you'll be able to have incremental breakthroughs, but it will take you longer. And I'd like to give a personal example of this. So first of all, let me preface this by saying at every single level, you will experience different blocks that I believe that as you get higher and higher in this work, they become sneakier because you're more aware. And so it's much more subliminal. And so that's why it's important to understand these 5 steps, because when you find yourself like, man, why did I send out that proposal? What's really going on? You have to be willing to ask the questions. You have to be willing to go through the process, first of all. Because if you're not willing to even ask the questions, or you're just going to stay stuck and you're going to keep saying like, man, I'm so frustrated. I really want to do this. I don't know why it's happening. But why? What's really going on? So this happened to me. Recently I write down my goals every single day. Every single day I write them down. I always keep them in front of me. I'm always looking at them, because I believe that when it's constantly in your face, your subconscious mind is looking for the evidence of like, well, where is it? Well, and then that's where divine action and inspired action comes into play. So I was writing down my goals. And as I started writing, our financial goal for this year is 1.6 million. And as I was writing it down, I felt this like, ooh, in my stomach. And I thought, well, why am I feeling that? First of all, I run a multiple 6-figure business now. Mm-hmm. Second of all, I have helped clients make 7 figures. I got clients that make 7 figures. I know how to do it. What's really standing in my way? And so for a moment, I was like, oh, what's really going on? What do I believe about this? And I went through my 5 steps. Mm-hmm. And when I went through the 5 steps, I discovered that there was a limiting belief I had never caught before. And the limiting belief was that in order to do $1.6 million, I have to start going to the gym 4 times a week, and I need to drink green juice every day, because healthy people are multimillionaires. Mm-hmm. Unhealthy people don't make that kind of money, which is a lie. By the way, it's just a straight up lie. I know plenty of unhealthy people who don't drink any green juice whatsoever who are doing it. Right. But in my mind, my vision of myself as a millionaire is that if I were a millionaire, I would be in the gym and I would be drinking the green juices. And here's the reality is that maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, probably not. The only way that I would be someone who hit the gym 4 times a week and who drank the green juice every day is if I decided to make that my habit. Mm-hmm. And one has nothing to do with the other. Now, why? So then I had to ask myself, well, do I want to shift through this? And the reality is like, honestly, the reality of right now is like, I do need to take care of my body better. Mm-hmm. I know that I have some internal things. I have some adrenal stuff going on. And so what I discovered was that this belief was presenting itself not so that I could become a gym rat, but so that I could do something about taking care of my internal health first. And so that prompted me to reach out to a naturopath, and I'm getting all this blood work and things done. And so that is my first step in shifting. But then I had to ask myself, well, do I want the outside to match the inside once I get this internal stuff? Like, do I want the guns and the 6-pack or whatever? And I feel like in this image on this screen, I look petite and thin. And I am a petite person, but I'm actually I'm not toned at all. Like I got the jelly and the jiggles and the dimples and all of that. So don't be deceived by what you see on the screen. Like, it gets bigger as we get lower. But what I realized was that no, I'm not ready to really shift into that yet, because shifting into that means that I have to make that a priority above other things, and I'm not willing to do that right now. But it's a conscious choice. And because it's a conscious choice, now I can make better choices with the things that I am willing to control. So I can make better choices with what I'm eating. I can make better choices with the amount of rest I'm getting, and all these other things that play in. And so because now I know that this $1.6 million goal is not going to not happen because of that limiting belief. Mm-hmm. Now, if it doesn't happen, I'm sure there's like 75 other limiting beliefs, but I got to go through the process.
Wow. I can't wait to find out what those cues are when I get there. Besides yourself, can you name some?
Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot. I see, sometimes I get so caught up in like, I want to teach. Okay. So we're going to do that kind of stuff. Then I have someone coming in to talk about money mindset, a 7-figure earner, because I would never dare try to teach you about the mindset of a millionaire when I have not yet made $1 million. And I think it's important that whoever you're going to learn from, that you check their credentials, that you verify, trust but verify that they actually have achieved the thing that they say that they're helping you achieve. I think it's just incredible how many times we choose. My friend Patrice Washington posted this the other day. She said, please stop picking your business coaches based on the fact that they strategically place a Chanel bag in their pictures every single day. And I thought, yes and amen. You're choosing your business coaches because they have the flashy material things. But do they have a savings account? Do they know how to read a profit and loss statement? Do they know how to build real wealth? Or do they know how to make money and spend it as quickly as they made it and spend more than what they're making? And so every month it's a hustle to like, I got to make more money. I got to make more money because I got to replenish. And if I get sick, God forbid, they're going to tow my Lamborghini. And I'm going to have to put my Chanel bags on Poshmark or whatever the site is, right? Look, I always feel like I know who's having a rough month when I start to see the IG stories of, ladies, I'm getting rid of this little baggie or these shoes. They're gently worn. We're having a rough month, Army. Anyway, so I have someone coming to talk about that. So that's the whole first day, is the inner game. The second day, we are going deep on strategy. And I am not a fan of events that are rah-rah, get you fired up and excited, but don't give you tactical strategies. That is my pet peeve. Don't get me pumped up and tell me like, so here's what you do, but you don't tell me how to do it.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
Here's what you do. You go out and build yourself a list. Well, how the hell do I do that? Here's what you do. You go and create an email sequence. Well, how? What do I write in the email sequence? So we're not going to do list building or email sequences, just so you know. It's not what we're going to teach you there. But we are going to give you tactical strategy. So I have Angie Lee, who is a 7-figure earner who has done 7 figures with her online courses. And she's going to show you how to make $1 million in 1 year with an online course. And my specific words to her, we're good friends. I said, Angie, don't be coming up on my stage with just some are you going to really teach them?
Right.
Don't give me a fancy title, but not deliver. And she said, no. I love to teach. I'm going to teach this. So I said, okay. Do it, girl. And then she actually taught it somewhere else. And people were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. So I know it's going to be amazing. And I've seen her teach and we've taught things together. So I know that she's really going to deliver. Then I have my friend Tiffany Montgomery coming. Now, Tiffany Montgomery is a real treat, because if you want to see what confidence in motion looks like, it's this woman. If you want to see what it is like to offend without regard, or a care in the world, it is but here's the distinction: offend without regard and also deliver an incredibly powerful message, change and transform lives, and make she's also a 7-figure earner. She did $172,000 in 72 hours last month.
Wow.
So she's going to come in and talk tactics and strategies. She does a lot of selling via live stream. So we're going to have her talk about, like, you know, what is her strategy? And I think, I mean, it might piss some people off because I know she's going to say it's not strategy. I just do this, this, and this. Mm-hmm. But I'm really good at breaking down like the strategy of, okay, so this, and this really means for you. And so I will be there to facilitate and make sure that you get the tactical steps. And then we're going to talk about time activated, because what I hear a lot of people say is, I just don't have enough time. Well, the reality is you actually do have enough time. You just don't know how to bend time, and you don't know how to manipulate time to work to your advantage. And you don't know how to set boundaries that feel good for you and that don't make the people that are that the boundaries are being imposed against feel like they're being put in a cell. And so the boundaries feel really good for everybody. And then we take all of that and I show you how to create a plan, your action plan, not my plan for you, your plan based on your goals and your vision. What are your first action steps and what are you going to achieve in the next 90 days? And then you break out your calendar and you calendarize it in the room so that when you leave, you don't get home on Monday morning like, man, that was so good. Let me look over my notes. Where do I begin? We did all that in the room. When you get home on Monday morning and you open up your laptop, okay, action step 1, bam, write this email, create this landing page, whatever it is that is going to be your action step. Hire a coach.
Excellent.
Join one of, hire Miko. Right?
Very cool.
Do you have questions about it?
Do I have questions about
the event? Like, why are you coming?
I want to come because, one, you put out the invitation to be a speaker. And then 2, I've been listening to your podcast and I would really like to meet you in person and to get like the full, like,
experience.
Exactly.
Well, I hope you'll be pleasantly surprised that I am who I say I am. And people tell me that all the time. You're just like you are. You are in real life just like I thought you would be. I try to be that.
That's very refreshing.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. The jury's still out. We'll see when we get there.
Why is having the right mindset so crucial in stepping into your greatness?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, it's not even about greatness. Like, it's just into stepping, right? Into just taking a step. Because I think when we say that, like, stepping into greatness, for some people, that feels like a big weight. And so I like to break it down. Like, look, you don't have to step out and be great off the bat. You could just step out. And however you step out is good enough and great enough. And however you step out is going to serve people. I told you about that book in the beginning, right? Like, that was my first step out. Mm-hmm. And right now, I wouldn't publish that book. Like, if it had up to me, like, let me refine. But I just had to step out. And so that was good enough. And that stepping out is what has transformed, hundreds, really thousands of lives. We've sold thousands of copies of that book. So I want women to just be able to just step out now. But wait, what was the question? See the ADD?
Why is having the right mindset?
Oh, the mindset. Yeah. Okay. So the mindset is because you can have all the strategy in the world, but if your subconscious mind is not on board, you're not going to take the action, or you'll take some action, but then you'll fall off. If you don't know how to navigate the battlefield that's going on in your mind and how to sidestep these little programmed beliefs, if you don't know how to get around them, then you are going to stay in that hamster wheel where you're spinning, you're moving, but you're not really going anywhere. You're not getting anywhere. And so the reason why that happens is because there's a mindset block. And if you shifted it, then you could get out of the way. And then here's the other thing that I teach you is that there are a lot of things from your past that you start bringing forward. And then, and like, so I use the analogy of a brick, right? So here's this thing that happened to me in my past, and now I'm hurt and I'm wounded and I'm scarred. And here's this other thing of how somebody let me down. And then I tried this, and then there was this failure. And so what they start to do is they start to build this wall up with all the things that have happened. And what I teach you to do is like, let's dismantle these bricks. And instead of building a wall, let's pave a path. And the way that you pave the path is by looking at everything that has happened in your life, every victory, every failure, every hurt, every trauma, every setback, and extract the lesson and why it was important for you to go through that at that moment so that you could be here. And let that become the bridge. And then you can walk through, and then you could start using pieces of the story, right? Why am I able to talk to you about my dead parents without getting choked up? It's not because time has healed that wound, because time, in my opinion, does not heal loss.
I agree.
Knowing how that experience has shaped and served you is what heals the loss. I still grieve. Earlier today, I had a good grieve and cry over the loss of my mother, because I, had to go back into some things. And it's not that the loss ever goes away, but it's that I understand why that loss happened for me. And I understand how I could use that experience to help other people heal. How I can use the experience of my depression to help other people overcome their own depression. How I can use the experience of having 2 eating disorders and battling with alcoholism to help women come through. How I could use the experience of when I was a mistress, right? Remember I told you about the boyfriend and how he was married? And so I would love to say that I just dumped his ass and that was it. And I did. But then I went back. And then I allowed myself to be the other woman. I allowed myself to be the mistress, and I allowed myself to be second best. And how I can use that, what would otherwise be shame. That's not my shame. I'm not ashamed. I made a mistake and I made a poor choice, but there's no shame in me. No one can shame you. Like, oh, she's fat shaming me. She's not, no one is shaming you. You are letting their words mean something. And so right now, anybody could come up to me and say, oh, you adulterous whore. And I could look at them and say, wow, you're in pain, aren't you? My actions, I'm sorry that my actions in the past are still causing you pain. You don't have to live in that, and I don't live in that anymore. And I've let that go. And I hope whatever's hurting you, you're able to let go and use it and leverage it to help somebody else. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want to talk about why my being an adulterous whore or whatever would you call me, right? And I can make a joke about it, and I could, because it's not funny and I'm not proud of it, but I know how I can use it to help someone else get out of their own shame.
Yeah, I heard this quote once: life is not happening to you, it's happening for you. So.
If you want to believe that, yeah. And when you choose to believe that, everything changes. The perspective, the freedom, the peace that you get to enjoy really changes. And I've worked with a lot of people who fight me on that too. Mm-hmm. Well, being raped didn't happen for me. Listen, excuse me. That's not something that we wish on anybody.
True.
And I'm sorry that happened. And I know that it doesn't feel like it happened for you. And maybe it didn't happen for you, but maybe it happened to you, because I like to use people's language so that they can get on board. Mm-hmm. Maybe it happened to you and not to someone else, because you are stronger and you are a survivor and you survived this so that you can help another woman get over it and move forward and become a victor, not a victim. but who are you choosing to be? Because you can use this. You can take the hurt and the pain and the trauma of that experience, and you can use it to heal somebody else if you would rise out of those ashes. But as long as you want to stay stuck in the ashes, nobody's going to join you there. We don't want to be there. That's not inspiring. It's not something to aspire towards. There's a reason that this happened for you and for the women that you are supposed to help heal. Do you want to answer that call? And then they get a choice.
Yeah, that's a beautiful way to look at it. So, Rachel, is there anything else you would like to add regarding why someone should definitely attend Confidence Activated?
Sure. Here's what I'll say. If you are still listening, or you were listening and riveted and like, oh my gosh, this is good, or you were nodding along and saying, yes, that's me, or I said something that really triggered you and pissed you off, you should be in the room, because I could not possibly do you justice in 1 hour when there's so much richness and fullness, and there's so much that I can actually teach you in a 2-day immersion. And I also want to encourage you, if you are feeling like this excitement, like, oh my gosh, that would be amazing, but you're tempted to say, well, if it's God's will, if it's meant to be, then it'll be. If that's like your default, I want to encourage you to put that default to the side, because what I have learned is that we are usually waiting for something to happen first before we take action. And I want to challenge you, take action first. Buy your ticket, and then watch how it all comes together for you to get your childcare, to get your plane, to get your roommate. We have a thread right now in my Facebook, my free Facebook group. It's called Real Talk with Rachel Luna, the after show. We have a thread right now of women like, who needs a roommate? I'm still looking for a roommate. Okay, I'll message you. Let's see if this is a good fit. So it's not like you're going to have to be in your own room. There's plenty of people that are going to be looking for roommates, that are looking for roommates. But you have to first you have to make a demonstration of faith, a demonstration of desire. I want to be there. I want this growth. I'm going to put my money where my desires are. And then I'm going to trust God to deliver. Then I'm going to trust everything else to conspire in my favor. And if the money is an issue right now, we have a 25% off code. You can use 25 off, all one word, at checkout. That'll take off. We also have a payment plan available for you. So I have done everything that I can to make it easy for you to get in the room, or not easy. Let me rephrase that, because I understand that finances are a real thing. But I've made it so that if you really want the changes that you say you want in your life, that you look at it and you look at the payment plan and you say, how can I make this work? How can I figure this out? Let me be resourceful. Let me do whatever I can do to get in the room. And if you trust Miko and she trusts me, then let's just get in one accord that this is where you should be. I've also been praying every single day. I pray the same prayer. I write it in my journal. God, I pray that you would bless and over deliver in abundance in finances for anyone that purchases a ticket, so that it doesn't feel painful for them, so that it doesn't feel like, ouch, that hurt. I pray every day that as soon as you make that payment, money just comes in from like, oh, where did that come? I didn't even know that money was coming in. Like, boom, blessings. And I have also gotten into an agreement with God that anybody who comes in the room ready and willing to do the work is going to experience a 7-time return. Because I believe that there is a passage that what the enemy has taken from us will be repaid to us 7 times over. And so if you feel that you have just not gotten a break and things keep just being taken from you and taken from you and taken from you, come into this room and let myself and my team pour into you and sow into you and give into you and replenish your cup and just fill you up so that you can then receive blessings. Some people don't know how to receive. I'm going to teach you how to receive. So for all those reasons and more, you should join us. And I hope that you do.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, Rachel. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And I will see you in June.
See you in June. Oh, and for the dance parties.
It's going to be dance parties? Oh, okay.
Of course. Like, I am the
Okay.
DJ is on lock. Hey, DJ, keep playing that song. Oh, no. Okay, sorry, I can't sing, but I do love to dance and have a good party. So
Okay, me too. I'll be there.
Bye.
Bye.